So you're going to catch up with your friends. Sometimes some even never return that particular term. But you also have fears of beginning of term, because teachers will do some beating. After these exams, the teacher brings back the papers, then those who performed poorly, and you know, on visitation day, parents are going to come and they will go and look at your performance, among the things they're going to look at.
And at some point, beginning of term started to be added to our end of term reports.
Yes, it would contribute 15%, midterm 15%, then the final exam of that term
70%.
70%. So if you performed funny in beginning of term, and out of the 15% you have maybe 5. Then midterm
five maybe. There's people who had like 2%.
So that's what now I go back to the memory line. Beginning of term, I know there is someone watching, a student. You're going back for beginning of term.
Sanko, how is your morning?
First?
My morning is okay. My Thursday morning is lovely.
As the weather outside?
The weather is fine. Surprisingly, I didn't. I didn't actually. Should I use listen or hear when it was raining? So I wasn't hearing anything. It's only in the morning that I realized it did pour over the night. So I had slept off entirely, like there is no tomorrow. But speaking of throwing back.
Just before you throw back, Robert was asking about what you're wearing, the grey thing you're wearing.
You know, at times, back in the time, we used to call them baskets. Then growing up, when you look into the fashion world, they will tell you it's either a waistcoat or, you know, or a basket as well. So it goes both ways for the people out there who normally put them on. But looking back at the throwback, like Robert has mentioned, this is a week of parents rushing to take their children back to school. And yesterday I got to see quite a number of parents in supermarkets, others around retail shops making various shoppings. And candidate classes, by the way, already reported in most schools.
Weekend.
Yeah, Sunday and Monday, most of the candidate classes already reported. And this reminds me of, I would throw back to a memory, because some of us during such times, your parent would give you, let's say, 200,000 Ugandan shillings. After you've written you've written a list of over 400,000 Ugandan shillings for the things you want, then they give you 200,000 Ugandan shillings. You go to town, grab a taxi, you go to town, start hunting down for the things that you need, or the school items. And those are some good old days back in the time. And it was such a week where you normally called your friends using your mother's phone or father's phone, so that you meet in town and try to make some shoppings as you prepare for the next term. That is for people who used to stay within the residential areas, again, around town. But nowadays, you get to realize that most of the times these students only write the lists. The parents go down and hunt for the school items themselves, as the students are either home seated waiting for the parents to return, and then over the weekend they sit into the vehicles and then get to school. But ours, at times, such weeks were really, really enjoyable. Only during the time of going back to school, when you're packing your suitcase or your bags and you're taken to the old taxi park or even the new taxi park for you to board the taxi and take yourself to school. I think the majority of the Ugandans, that is for those who are actually studying between 1990 to 2010, most of them were taking themselves back to school using taxis and borders. But the generation has actually changed. So it has been reminding me of my school days, especially when I was still in boarding.
So you used to take yourself to school, Sonko?
A couple of times.
Okay, so well, it is a Thursday and we have been throwing back to, going back to school. Personally, going back to school, I was always this kind of kid that from primary, I knew how to bring myself from school. My dad would find me home and he was like, we're gonna put this pressure. I was always that kid that saw the route once and knew that I could get home the following day. So if I got tired of school, I'm not saying you should do this, I would actually head home, especially in primary. Well, welcome to the show once again. We have been throwing back to those days, especially back to school days. And away from that, I would like to, first of all, let you know that if you are an ID holder, national ID holder, please make sure that you do not use your national ID in any transaction that has to do with loans, especially where you have to use it as collateral. This is illegal, and this is as per the statement made by NIRA yesterday. So I think it has come to the attention of NIRA that people are using these national IDs as collateral, and also these money lending institutions are also asking for national IDs, and NIRA says this is government of Uganda property. Just because it belongs to someone, it's still property of government of Uganda, so you cannot retain it on grounds that someone has borrowed money from you. I don't know if you've had an experience, Robert, with people, with money lenders, or a friend who literally had to give in their ID for them to get money.
Well, I've not had an experience with money lenders because I know where it's safer for me in case I want to get money. Those guys are called, give me a goat, I pay a cow. So I don't deal with them in any way. But I've had people share those experiences. And the reason is, most of these money lenders now do not ask for serious collateral. They'll simply tell you, give us your national ID, we give you this money, you have this period to pay. Reason being because now the national ID has become so critical.
In almost everything that you have to do,
you're doing. You want to fly out of the country, if you didn't have a passport, you need the national ID. Everything now rotates around that small, that identification paper that you have, or call it. So they know that because at one time you need it, you definitely have to pay back because they have tried vehicles, and Ugandans have become smart. A car has 2 logbooks, you know. They have tried land titles,
and the same thing
a person comes out and says, this is our marital home, my wife wasn't aware, you had to do this. And remember, there they do their business. It's not so formal. It's not so formal because they want to dodge tax. Because if you're a registered money lender, you have tax you pay. These are people we know that Sonko has money. But also they have some of them have outrageous percentages, interest. Yes, that's why I called them in the beginning that they give you a goat, in return you're paying a cow. How fair is that? So it is currently the only quick thing that someone can give in. People have given forged land titles, log books, assets and all that. And their business, one needs money very fast. So that's how they benefit. You want a loan now, I tell you, well, around 10, I'll tell you to take you to someone, give in your national ID, and they give you the money, and then they'll tell you you're taking $1 million, you bring back $2 million, because it urgently. So they'll be put out of business, some of them.
Opportunists. Sonko, what is your take on, you know, this particular directive?
The first thing that went crossed my mind was the collateral issue, because most of the people who register with their national IDs or who give in their national IDs normally give in because they have nothing else to offer. And then when you look at the money lenders, I have actually had an experience with money lenders because you know, during those times of COVID, there were quite a number of apps. I don't know if they are still around. Apps where you can actually go in for a loan. You've heard of such apps, the Mango, and
I think I've heard of them. I've heard of them.
Yeah, there are quite many. So when it's actually, they give you instant loans. They will give you instant loans. You go in and you get an instant loan. They ask for your national ID. They don't ask for anything else. Your national ID and maybe, you know, your closest or your next of kin numbers, so that they can look for you in case you fail to pay the loan. And you know, I did come to realize that most of the people who have been using or who use these particular apps were only using their national IDs. But then, like Robert has mentioned, the money lenders realize it's the only realistic collateral, or the only original collateral you can give in with this kind of generation, where people are actually giving in you know, false documents or giving in fake collateral just to go with the loan. So with the national ID, if someone is to look for you, not only today, but in the long run, they will still get you. Because at least then your records will be somewhere with the credit bureau in one way or the other. So I think it is actually a win-win. It's actually a win for the money lenders. And it may not be a good one for the people
the
who apply for these loans. Because like I said, most of the Ugandans have no collateral while applying for these loans. So they feel like the national ID, which is also very difficult to get in this country, is one that would have definitely been given in as security. So it's not a good one on the side of the people who go in for these loans. But the money lenders, again, you may look at it in a way that it may be a win for them, but for those who have actually been maliced through people who, are given fake documents and fake securities, again, it may not be, it may also not be good if you look at it.
Right, thank you very much. Well, that is it for this discussion. Let's get into the local stories and find out what is happening in the country.
Well, we'll begin with fire that gutted a private warehouse at Entebbe, where police started investigations to ascertain the circumstances under which fire gutted a private warehouse that belongs to DAS Handling Services operating at Entebbe International Airport. The warehouse is being rented by National Medical Stores. Long-lasting treated mosquito nets, which were imported on behalf of the Ministry of Health, have been there for some time and were destroyed. Meanwhile, Uganda Civil Aviation Authority affirms that the general public that this incident has not in any way affected their operations. Moving on, the State Minister for East African Affairs, James Magonde Ikuya, has officially inaugurated Kiswahili lessons at the NRM Secretariat in Kampala. He emphasized that the ministry is encouraging all government agencies to participate in East Africa programs aimed at ensuring inclusivity. The learners are volunteers who responded to the NRM Secretariat's call to be part of the initial model, and upon completion of the training, members will receive certificates. Now over to security. Uganda Police Force has suspended the National Unity Platform mobilization campaigns with immediate effect over breach of guiding laws for the public gathering. Fred Enanga, the police spokesperson, while presenting a statement on behalf of the Deputy Inspector General of Police, Major General Geoffrey Tumusime, said the persistent undermining of public order management laws on gathering by NUP leadership is likely to cause unrest in the country. And the subject of the Chabazinga of Busoga, having celebrated the 9th coronation of Chabazinga William Gabula Nadiope IV, the coronation ceremony has been held at Namulwange Playground in Kigula Chiefdom, Iganga District, under the theme Harnessing Environment by Planting Food, Fruit and Medicinal Trees.
And away from that, we cross over, check what is happening on the international scene. Kim is on a visit to Russia's Far East as Putin seeks to bolster alliances with other leaders ostracized by Western countries. The North Korean leader is also due to oversee a display of Russian warships during his visit, Putin said, to demonstrate the capabilities of the Pacific Fleet. Western allies have raised concerns over possible arms agreement between Russia and North Korea as Moscow's war in Ukraine grinds on. After a meeting between the two leaders on Wednesday, Kim Jong-un courteously invited Putin to visit the Democratic People's Republic of Korea at the convenient time, according to the state-run news agency, which referred to the country by its official name. And away from that, the nation's biggest technology executives yesterday loosely endorsed the idea of government regulations for artificial intelligence at an unusual closed-door meeting in the U.S. Senate. But there is little consensus on what regulation would look like, and the political path for legislation is difficult. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer Chuck Schumer, who organized the private forum on Capitol Hill as part of a push to legislate artificial intelligence, said he asked everyone in the room, including almost 24 tech executives, advocates, and skeptics, whether government should have a role in the oversight of artificial intelligence, and every single person raised their hands, even though they had diverse views. And in Libya, more than 5,300 people are believed to have died after floods in Libya hit the city of Dana, and this is according to an official. The sea is constantly dumping dozens of bodies. Hisham, a minister in Libya's eastern administration, said there have been desperate calls for more humanitarian support as victims lie wrapped in body bags and others have been buried in mass graves. The tsunami-like river of flood water swept through Dana on Sunday after a dam burst during Storm Daniel. Rescue teams are digging through the rubble of collapsed buildings in the hope of finding survivors, but hope is waning and death toll is still expected to rise further. And speaking matters climate, 4 months before the close of 2023, the United States has already broken its record for the number of weather and climate disasters, with damages exceeding $1 billion in a calendar year. There have been $23 billion disasters to date this year, according to a monthly report issued on Monday by National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association. The last calendar year record was set in 2020 with 22 disasters costing $1 billion. Now, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Association adjusts its count of past year's billion-dollar disasters to account for inflation. This year's 23 disasters have cost Americans a total of nearly $58 billion and caused at least 253 deaths. That is it for the climate update and international news. We'll be crossing over to see what is happening in the local dailies with Jerome Paul.
Now with the local dailies, the New Vision with the headline, How Killer Doctor Was Nabbed in Kenya. That is at the front pages of the New Vision today. Now inside the operation that smoked Chirabo out of Nairobi Hotel is more of what the New Vision is bringing to you this particular Thursday. Then elsewhere, the 9th coronation anniversary for Chabazinga. There's a pictorial of the Chabazinga and some of the other Busoga delegates at the front pages of the New Vision. Elsewhere, Binzika is set to lose multi-billion properties over loan. You can read more of that with the New Vision. As Minister blasts Bobby Wine over land. Why is that so? This is with the New Vision today. Now, moneylenders face jail over retaining national IDs. The New Vision is giving you more of that same report today. So you can grab yourself a copy and get more of the same. Now, in the Daily Monitor, police stop Biringwa meeting and Bobby tours. This did occur yesterday as government bans use of national IDs as loan security. The Daily Monitor also gives you more of that. Furthermore, President Museveni, Salim Saleh, remember fallen heroes of the Katonga battle. More of that with the Daily Monitor today. Government issues new maize export guidelines. You can get more of those particular guidelines in the Daily Monitor as 11 baby-friendly hospitals have been accredited. Which hospitals are those? Their full list is with the Daily Monitor today. As Uganda Kingdom, NMG and other editors forge closer work ties. There is another report well detailed with the Daily Monitor. So you can definitely grab a copy of one of the two and then see what has been reported from the perspective of print media. Later on in the show, we shall as well be looking at other papers from within the region, that is Kenya and Tanzania. But for now, that's it for our local press review.
Thank you so much, Jerome Paul. Well, we'll be going for a very short break, but also getting you into what we call a throwback song and also an inspiration song for the day. When we come back, we are going to be talking matters insurance and would like you to share your opinion on the proposed mandatory national health scheme bill that was put forward yesterday. We saw the health minister, Dr. Jane Ruth Ocheng, saying each Ugandan, whether you're young or old, you have to pay 15,000 annually for this scheme bill. The details will be in the discussion, so please do stay with us, and also remember to share your opinion after the break.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning to you. Welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Uganda on UBC Television. We are glad that you get to wake up with us every single morning, 6:30 up to 9 a.m. Welcome aboard. Great information, great conversations is what we do here. And of course, as usual, I am not alone in studio. I am with Robert and I am with Sonko. My name is Chantal. Today I choose to go with the first names because all of us seem to have long names, for that matter, being a Thursday. And I would like to know what you are throwing back to this very Thursday. Could be to that time when you were very fat, that time when you were very slim, that time when you were really hooped. Could be anything. So I would like to know what Robert is throwing back to at the moment. Good morning, Robert.
A lovely morning, lady in black. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
Well, I'm very fine. Just looking at Sonko here, who has put on something that disturbs many Ugandans to speak actually what it is, and I'll first find out later. Please allow him tell us what he's putting on. What is it called?
He's putting on a number of things.
No, what he's putting on, like a jacket, I don't want to pronounce it.
Oh.
Yes, because many Ugandans, if you put up money today and told them that which Sonko is putting on.
In grey?
In grey. What is it called? You'll fear. And you wonder. Now, you talked about throwing back. Children are going back to school. That is next week. Some have already begun going back.
Yes, actually, the last
Now,
weekend candidates.
this takes me back to those days when it was time for you to prepare your list. For shopping, your list, and then Muzei looks through and says, this you'll get at least 2 weeks. You're looking at your pocket money. But also there was what we termed as bought.
Beginning of term.
Very good. We were in the same generation of studies, now I understand. So if you hadn't read and bought, beginning of term exams would contribute to about 15% of what you're going to get eventually. So you wanted to at least have some good marks. So you're excited, you're going back to school, more so you're going to catch up with some of your friends, plus who are in boarding schools and distant. By then, phones were not so common thing for us. So you're going to catch up with your friends. Sometimes some even never return that particular term. But you also have fears of beginning of term because teachers will do some beating. After these exams, the teacher brings back the papers, then those who performed poorly, and you know, on visitation day, parents are going to come and they will go and look at your performance, among the things they're going to look at.
And at some point, beginning of term started to be added to our end of term reports.
Yes, it would contribute 15%, midterm 15%, then the final exam of that term
70%.
70%. So if you performed funny in beginning of term, and out of the 15% you have maybe 5. Then midterm
five maybe. There's people who had like 2%.
So that's what now I go back to the memory line. Beginning of term, I know there is someone watching, a student. You're going back for beginning of term.
Sonko, how is your morning?
On first?
My morning is okay. My Thursday morning is lovely. That
As
is
the weather
what
outside?
is. The weather is fine. Surprisingly, I didn't. I didn't actually. Should I use listen or hear when it was raining? So I wasn't hearing anything. It's only in the morning that I realized it did pour
You and
over
me
the
both.
night. So I had slept off entirely, like there is no tomorrow. But speaking of throwing back.
Just before you throw back, Robert was asking about what you're wearing, the grey thing you're wearing.
You know, at times, back in the time, we used to call them baskets. Then growing up, when you look into the fashion world, they will tell you it's either a waistcoat or, you know, or a basket as well. So it goes both ways for the people out there who normally put them on. But looking back at the throwback, Like Robert has mentioned, this is a week of parents rushing to take their children back to school. And yesterday I got to see quite a number of parents in supermarkets, others around retail shops making various shoppings. And
was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial *165*3# or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
My name is Atube Richard, a member of a group called Kanyope, located in Bungatira sub-county. This group started in 2008, but the Prelnol project started supporting us in 2009. The project has offered us training on farming, and the training we got has helped us immensely. We used to farm in a traditional way, planting a variety of crops. But when the team from Prelnor approached us, they asked us to choose particular seeds to grow which can yield very well in our area. We chose groundnuts and rice, which we are growing. With this kind of farming, the project also taught us how to sell as a group after finding a market. The support from the project has been so good to us.
What's the best kind of business to invest in? One that connects Ugandans border to border with high-speed broadband 4G and is the first to launch 5G? What about one of the largest corporate income taxpayers in our country? Oh, the fastest growing telecom in the last 5 years. Wow! Well, here's a chance to invest in it all. Take part in Airtel's initial public offering today for as little as 100 Ugandan shillings per share. Remember, a retail investor gets 5 incentive shares for every 100 they buy and 6 incentive shares if they purchase using Airtel Money. Dial *185*85# now to get started.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, it is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a poultry project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning once again. You are still watching Good Morning Uganda on UBC television, and this very morning we are here to discuss with you something that is definitely important to you. If you are not careful or going forward, most likely you will be paying 15,000 annually for every single person who is a dependent. When it comes to the people you take care of, 15,000 Uganda shillings as part of the health insurance scheme, National Health Insurance Scheme bill that has been fronted again. This is not the first time it's being put out, but according to the former Speaker of Parliament, that is Right Honourable Rebecca Kadaga, she says this bill was first of all proposed during the 9th Parliament, but it was hit by the same person who is actually suggesting the same today, and we are here to discuss that. So please do go to our X app and do share your opinion on the proposed mandatory National Health Insurance Scheme bill. Do note the key word here is mandatory. So if you have a household of about 17 people, count your 15,000 times 17 people, and that is how much you'll be paying annually for these people. But of course, a lot has to be discussed in the middle there. So please do let us know what you think. The hashtag is UBCGMU on the X app, formerly known as Twitter, and also you can let us know through our WhatsApp what you think. 0709602902. I repeat, 0709602592 is a number that you will be sending the message to. I kindly remind you again, no phone calls, it's only for WhatsApp messages. And that is where we say, what do you think? Share your opinion. Now, the details to this proposed scheme bill are not actually as what you would know as part of insurance. Now, if we are to define what health insurance is all about, this involves a contractual agreement between an insurer and the insured person, where the insurer undertakes to pay the medical costs of the insured in the event of accidents, sickness, in exchange for a premium. Now, those that have insurance covers, you know, especially individual insurance covers, you know that you pay a certain amount either monthly or annually to a particular insurance services provider. And this person, the moment a calamity hits, for example, you've got an accident or you have to undergo surgery and this was unprecedented, then you would be covered in a way. But also those random days, for example, when your kids fall sick and you don't have money on you at the moment, you have your insurance card, you use that in the particular hospital as agreed, you get treatment and walk out. Probably sometimes the most that happens is maybe this medicine is not part of the insurance cover, but those are isolated and, you know, details that you get to discuss with your provider. But in this case, according to Dr. Jen Ruth Cheng, the truth is, you're only paying the 15,000 because you don't appreciate the free things you are getting. She cites that there is a lot of spoilage in the hospitals. People vandalize property in the hospitals. And to her, these people are vandalizing because they do not appreciate the free services and the free things they are getting. The question, though, are they as free as she says? Because we've seen some of these national hospitals, people make payments for some of the services they do get. So that leaves us with some of the questions. But also, what would it be called insurance when it's not actually catering for the real definition of insurance? The discussion is tabled, and well, do chip in. Let us know what you think. For now, I'll be checking with the team, that is Sonko and Robert, to find out what they think on this particular bill. And I'd like to start with you, Robert. In a minute, just briefly, what do you think about this scheme bill actually that is being proposed again?
Well, I'm happy it is a proposal.
Okay.
It's not that you have something final. So there's still great room for improvement. But then, I'm sad and disappointed with some of the fronted reasons by the minister for such a bill. Then also, I get disturbed again on implementation bit of it. Why? You rightly said the reason why we have insurances, various packages actually covers. Because you have motor vehicle, you have cargo in transit, there are various forms of insurance. Now, health is just that this deals with the life. If I have comprehensive on my motorbike, I'm well assured that in case there is an accident or some of the terms under which my comprehensive insurance covers, even if it is stolen or I'm involved in an accident, my insurance company is going to cater for that, and I'll get a bike exactly the one I had.
Yes.
Now, with life, you don't get exactly what you had. But when you have a health insurance, you're assured, depending on the terms of that insurance, that when I'm sick, I have a fallback position.
All right.
I'll take my card, they swipe, I get treatment. Now, one of the reasons that I've read through the minister fronting is that because people don't attach value to free things that are being given in public hospitals. And when they pay, assumably, they would attach value. She even made a comparison with a private hospital. Honorable Minister, the biggest challenge is government lacks supervision, monitoring in all its programs. Now, when you look at a private hospital and you make this comparison, let's look at some of the known hospitals. We've all gone to private hospitals, I want to assume. This is a person, she talks about spoiling breaking. You can't go into IHK. You're admitted, and when you're discharged, you just move around. There's someone who comes to look at that room. There's someone who's avoiding this spoilage because there is interest. This is
you'll actually pay for vandalizing.
You pay for vandalizing. Yes. If somehow there's someone will even tell you, give a month
security.
When you're, for security. So public things cannot be compared to private things in terms of supervision and monitoring. That is one. Health insurance, I would buy quick into this if the Honorable Minister said that we need a pool of money because health is a human right. In our constitution, health is a human right. And a human right, I shouldn't be discriminated because I can't afford. Isn't it?
Yes.
If something is a fundamental human right, so if I don't have evidence of paying the 15,000 and I'm denied, that is discrimination. You can challenge this. So, if her reasons were clear, like the first that Right Honorable Kadaga talked about, that our health system is staggering, let's all accept, because we lack finances.
Right. If
Ugandans contribute, and we have a pool of money, we can employ more doctors. If Ugandans contribute, we have a pool of money, we can construct more hospitals. If Ugandans contribute, we can import better health equipment. You know, that surgeries where the poor cannot afford and they die because of health insurance, we shall have a big pool of money. So you just walk into this. As the leading cause, my disappointment is this issue of people don't attach value to what they have not paid.
But then we can't even call it national health insurance because now it's, if we were to go that way, it's now different from insurance. I was here trying to calculate if I'm in a household and I have 17 people under me that I'm taking care of, that is 255,000 annually. And then I'm now looking at this person in this village who is being told they're paying this much, but they're only paying because because there is someone out there who has vandalized property, and that is why. Yet you find this person, it's unfair because you find this person was not even among the people that vandalized anything, or they've not even gone to the public hospital, as we could consider that as well. Sonko, I would like you to share your mind on what you think about this proposed scheme bill.
Well, my mind takes me to one which is actively used in Kenya, because when you look back a little bit in 1966, the National Health Insurance Fund was set up in Kenya as a national corporation that overlooks or looks at the health sector in Kenya to understand and go on with the emerging trends in the health sector as generations pass by. And in 2021, if my numbers get me right, it was actually asserted into law with the fact that Parliament in Kenya passed this as a scheme to ensure that they follow up. Kenyans pay for for insurance, but like Robert has mentioned, if we are to say we are bookmarking it from other countries, maybe we are not bookmarking it from other countries, but trying to shape our health sector, it should then have the essence of insurance.
The real meaning of insurance.
Of insurance.
That is my point, yes.
Because during my childhood, I had an insurance cover, and it was definitely representing insurance because, for example, my father would pay monthly to a certain insurance company, whereby in case I was sick or anything, it was this particular card of this insurance company that would cover me. Now, when we're having our insurance scheme in Uganda, which is a mandatory 15,000 Ugandan shillings payment, and then you come out and reveal that it is because, amongst many reasons, Ugandans don't appreciate the health services or any other service that they get on a free, and yet, you know, it's a government mandate to provide these services to the taxpayer.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we are all, you know, obviously, because at the end of the day, every social service that comes into the country is funded by taxpayers' money or external debts that are coming in. Again, even these external debts are funded by the taxpayers in regards to payment.
Yes.
So if it's an insurance, my take would be if we are paying 15,000 Ugandan shillings, which practically is not a lot of money if it's an annual fee. But when you look at the millions of Ugandans, it then multiplies into good money. Because, for example, if a household, like Chantal calculated, of 17,000 being able to pay over 200,000 annually, then that means we have many households in Uganda who have too many people. So the government will be getting a lot. But then what will the Ugandans be getting? It's more like we are paying for this government hospital, which we were ideally told is a free service.
Yes.
So that means there is no insurance cover, and I'm not actually paying for insurance. I think that is why I did mention before we even went on air earlier today, is it does look like a development fee of a sort that we used to pay in high school, or that most of the parents pay in high school, whereby the administration says we have these development fees that you're supposed to pay, and then when you ask what the fees are going to do, the school will tell you it's development. Whether the development is visible or not, it's development fees.
Yes.
So I think this is what we are actually having with this insurance scheme. Unless it brings out that element of insurance, whereby if I think it's what you even mentioned, that with insurance, you know, if I go to this hospital and I have an insurance cover with a certain insurance company, I'll go with my card, let's say, where they will definitely be deducting this particular amount of money I was paying, because now insurance is now taking charge. Even when you look at the motor third insurance, these particular premiums give you that security to come back up in case of any, you know, uncertainties that occur. But with this kind of 15,000 Ugandan shillings, it's like I'm paying for a service that I've been receiving. Now the chances are, what happens if I don't visit any government or public hospital during the same year? I've paid 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Or within my, you know, entire life, because I do believe there are many Ugandans, the privileged class, who have not even been through public hospitals.
Public hospitals.
So if they pay 15,000 Ugandan shillings and you're calling it insurance, then that means it's not insurance for them.
Exactly. So I agree with you. We now need to revise the term that we are giving this, because it's clearly not making sense. Insurance is just a thing, or it's like a tool or an instrument providing protection against possible eventuality. So you are planning for let me put it like that. It's that insurance that you have that, okay, this is my backup for any eventuality. And in this case, this is not the definition that we are getting when it comes to, when you compare what Dr. Jane Ruth Ocheng is saying and what we know insurance to be. However, when you let's try to take it to the mind of the minister and try to understand. Okay, let's say she used a term that is not giving us what we want, but let's also look at it from the angle of she is well intended. We do have people that vandalize property in the hospitals. Someone breaks a bed, and there is no one literally who is there to make sure that they are accountable, or they are held accountable. When you compare private hospitals and public hospitals, the private hospital, you will find all these rules and policies put here, and at a point when you're signing somewhere, you'll also find some of those rules. If you're a caretaker, you have guidelines to follow. If you're a patient, you have guidelines to follow. In this case, are we seeing these things even happening for public hospitals? Before we get into the detail of this insurance that we are talking about, do we see these things happening, or actually this is where we have a problem?
You know, one of my friends, the army spokesperson, taught me a word called misguided missile. If by any chance the issue was about spoiling, vandalization, then you don't need money to have a healthy fund.
You need regulations.
You need regulations. That is what we need, not money. You need to just improve in the current system. How do you avoid this? When hospitals, public hospitals, issues of stealing babies became common, they tightened grip. Go to Kamolago, is it this Kawempe hospital? They installed cameras. You know, go to Jinja hospital, cameras almost at every what? It wasn't about every mother in a public hospital contributing or something like that. There's a better solution to this, holding people accountable. If we've installed toilets in this hospital, if we've done that, if it's vandalization, that we don't need a scheme. But if it is improving the health services, my brother talked about the fact that when you pay for an insurance, a national insurance, and you don't go to hospital, to a public hospital, as long as it is a national policy, you've chosen not to go there. So you've chosen.
It's a choice you've made.
It's a choice. It's like education. You can't hold government accountable that for you because you're not taking your children to UPE. Yet you pay tax that facilitate in one way. So it is your choice. But being a national policy, you pay.
Right.
Now, people, let's always look at a problem and then look for a solution. Let's not just imaginate solutions. What are the challenges of our health sector today? You know, and how best do we address them? One, finances. Doctors say we need better money. Government doesn't have money. So, if we devise ways of finding money to pay doctors better, that is okay. Two, equipment. You know, if we have money to have these equipments in our hospitals, that is okay. So these, I'm talking about things that can be solved with money.
Right.
Doctor, nurse, patient ratio, we are doing badly according to global standards. You need money for equipment, you need money to build hospitals.
Right.
Those can be sorted with money. However, we also have the attitude of health workers. Do you sort that with money? Where a doctor in a public hospital will come, put their coat there, go to their private clinic. We have drug theft. That there is so much drugs that are bought by government of Uganda, they're even exported out of Uganda, smuggled out of Uganda. In countries I don't want to mention, our neighboring countries, you know, they're in private clinics. That even when you have a national health policy and government is buying these medicines and Ugandans are contributing, but when they go to these hospitals, the medicine is not there. Sonko and my sister here, will we have had value for money?
Maybe not. But on that note, there is this school of thought. Imagine government spending on repairs and maintenance, yet they could be spending on purchasing equipment, purchasing more drugs to put in these public hospitals. So I'm trying to look for the insurance element in here. The government is insuring itself when it comes to these unprecedented cases where someone breaks something they are not supposed to, or that is not supposed to break down at the moment, and the only way to have this done or repaired or even replaced to provide better services for the other individuals is by having a pool of money that they can use to cater for these unprecedented cases, I'm trying to bring in the insurance.
Just a quick one on
element.
that. I can smell a rat.
Where? Still in this?
Whenever we've not had good history, has not been on our side when it comes to where we have pools of money. You've had the pension scheme saga.
Yes. The NSSF.
NSSF has been a problem throughout. At some time you have years of some rest, then boo, another scandal. Jamwa, this Bakokoba, Zoe Bakokoba, who I think whatever the name has just, but she was, I think, Zoe Bakoko something. Then it seems every managing director that comes there is engulfed in a saga. Whenever we have a pool of money, I think it's only URA where they have, to a greater extent, maintained pools of money. But when you create a pool of money in Uganda, the next you have to be prepared for. Even the scheme we talked about of Kenya, they have had series because people know there is money. Unless this money goes to a consolidated fund, that we pay our money, it goes to a consolidated fund, then government will look at allocation and say the health sector, because there is money we are bringing in, let's do that. But even cases here that collects money here, cries of budget,
yeah, shortfalls.
You know, Robert,
shortfalls.
You know, Robert, when you look at this scheme, by the way, some of the medics or the medical fraternity are supporting the scheme. Let's first of all, get off what the minister was even mentioning about paying this as an amount of for services that Ugandans need to start appreciating, or we need to start paying for a given service, then maybe we shall appreciate. Most of the medics believe that Uganda has actually done some good work in relation to creating, health centers and trying to make, access to health services affordable, though they are failing at a shorthand. So they believe that when you look at this particular scheme, it has a way it may create, room for improvement. How? We have issues with less, or fewer drugs in most of the health
Public
centers,
hospitals.
especially when you look at the dispensaries and every other health center. You did mention about doctors who miss days off, and they either come in, register, after registration,
Go to their clinics.
Yeah, to the private hospital or back to their pharmacies or clinics. So this kind of situation is the fact that it will make us more accountable. Because once we are paying this particular amount of money, you get to realize that at times, affordable health services may start coming closer. How? Because with the time that the speaker, the minister has mentioned that if we pay for such services, then we shall pay more attention to how things are done. Because we as Ugandans maybe tend to, get overboard with certain things, and we are so quick to critique. But when you're paying for this particular scheme, or paying for this particular insurance, at the end of the day, you get to realize that even the medical practitioners themselves will maybe pull up their stocks in how they, attend to clients or patients, or even some of these allowances may be catered for. Because I want to believe that most of the issues surrounding public health centers is more about the absenteeism of health, of the doctors and the nurses, than to the working conditions of these people. Because at times the money comes in late, or the salaries, or they are paid less. But it's actually an African thing, because most of the African countries, or most of the doctors in Africa, are always, on strike, or, seeking for better payment options from the government. So I think if we were to look at it from the positive side, it may be also room for improvement in regards to affordable health services, affordable health facilities, especially in public hospitals. Because here is where the biggest issue in Uganda is. Because for the private hospitals, if you have the insurance or not, you have to pay for the service if you want good, services. So with the 15,000 Ugandan shillings, it's more like we are putting into a pool of money onto which the government will be taking to ensure they're disbursing of funds to these health services. But again, how will this particular money be utilized is where now the bigger question comes in. Like you've mentioned, when we have government organizations where we have a lot of money in circulation, it may not even be a lot, but as long as there is money being saved or being sent to a given account, that is where the challenges start from. Everybody wants to take off that money because they believe no one will be looking out to them.
All right. Thank you so much, Jerome Paul. I would like to also remind you that when you clock 18 and you're under your father's roof, you'll be paying that 15,000 on your own because you are now a mature person, says Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng. But AMREF came out and said, before you do this, please first try and find out. Because according to Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng, you will be paying 15,000 whether you work or not, whether you're in town or in the village. But this sounds, of course, a bit unfair according to AMREF, and they are suggesting, please do further, do further research and before you roll this out and find out how feasible and applicable is it for some of the Ugandans. Well, I do have some comments that I have on WhatsApp here. And please do note that when you are sharing, when you're sharing your comments, please do leave a name. We would like to know who is adding a brick to the nation, who are we interacting with. And of course, the poll question or what we are talking about is still on our X app. You can get there and find out and also let us know what you think through the X app or through WhatsApp. And we are saying, share your views on the proposed mandatory national health insurance scheme bill, and let us know if this is going to work for you or if you think we should actually give some attention to it. This is Gahanga Tusime Vincent, Kisanja District Councillor KTC Mubende. And it says, good morning, UBC. I want to know the amount of money each person should be paying. That is 15,000. Just you who wanted to know. If one insured, is insurance inheritable? He's asking, are you going to inherit that 15,000?
Well, this is paid only a year. So, and it's attached to an individual.
To an individual, it can't be inheritable.
It can't be inheritable.
Yes. What are the penalties for those who will not insure themselves? What age is the insurance supposed to start from? Now, this is for every Ugandan, young and old. The only difference is that when you clock 18, you start paying for yourself if you're under, if you've been under a guardian. Then does the insurance cover someone referred abroad or specialized treatment like Olanya and others? And these questions should draw you to the attention. They should draw you to the definition of insurance. You realize that when you mention insurance, someone is quick to think the real definition of insurance, where I am going to hospital and present a card and get a service that I have been literally paying for. You understand?
If you need this specialized treatment abroad, even if you have a health policy here in Uganda with a company, an insurance company, you're not flying for this and that. And they'll be facilitating.
Still, we are still looking at it from the perspective of the definition of insurance and the scheme that is being put in place and the target being given.
Though the chances are affordable health services will be a mandate as well. If we are to say government should also put it mandatory on their side that we have to provide affordable health services after we are done paying. This particular amount of money, because this is what most of the Ugandans will want to, to listen to, because 15,000 annually will not take you to a private hospital.
No, it cannot.
It can't, but it will definitely take you to a public hospital and at least access more better health services, or at least this time around, be more accountable to government, or where government has to be more accountable to you.
We hope that that actually plays out the way you are putting it. But I still have some comments, and Uganda's corruption can't manage health insurance. It will be misery, plunder after disappointment. First, we need leaders who are not above the law, starting from the highest office in the land, says Samuel from Muntinda. Then someone else says, good morning, UBC health insurance is good and this would support already struggling system. The only question is, will the collected money be put to the right use? corruption here in Uganda is too much. Edson Namanya, Uganda District, thank you so much for your contribution. The comments are really many out here. Good morning, UBC. Thanks for the program. Actually, this issue of National Health Insurance Scheme Bill, this is a way big chaps want to get money for them to be taken abroad to access medical services for themselves by using a poor man. Okay, if they implement that, will a poor man also be taken to places like Nairobi, Germany, India, etc. for treatment, since it will be mandatory? That is a very pertinent question. And then this individual hasn't left a name, but I think this is Adong Janet. Adong Janet says 15K is a good idea. However, what measures will be put in place about corruption where this money is swindled from the pool? This money is likely just going to build apartments for those that are handling it. Last week, we lost a mother in theater because there was no generator. The government should convince Ugandans of the security of this money. Forgot about the mishandling of the property. Where are the in-charges staff at the hospitals? Doctors are paid, but they are spending 2% of their time to go to private facilities. The doctors cannot even touch you to examine, but gives you a prescription with assumption without touching where the pain is. And well, this is very sad right here. See, there is a lot of information, or a lot that plays in here. And then the minister did not properly look at the factors failing the health system in Uganda. We pay tax in many different ways in this nation, and telling that we don't value free services is an insult to the citizens, because we go to these hospitals and get no medication. We are still sent to buy from private facilities. So this insurance coming up, is it for consultation that even sometimes we pay for? Her intention is so different from, she's trying to bring just that she has not found a better way to present it. They are after money, not the wellness of Ugandans. This is Handy from Tororo, and continues and says, most of these properties are neglected for long. No maintenance, no rehabilitation on them, and they are expected to last. They take long renovation. So if a patient comes in, they may break with or her. Let's look at most of these pit latrines in these government hospitals. They get full and smelly. It looks like it leaves that for long, and if a patient finds it, like, it will look for where to, if a patient finds it like that, they will look for where to help themselves from. Comments are quite many. According to the issue, for me, I have seen that that will not work to people. It will be like also a way of family planning to people. This person says it's not going to work. I don't agree with the government. There is no free health facility in Uganda now. Even government hospitals, doctors have become corrupt. That's how to look for taxes, but not insurance. Then Godfrey from Sorority City says, good morning, Uganda. 15K per person is the edge there. Does the government think this doctor and nurses will stop segregation among patients? Because we always watch when working class people coming to meeting a doctor or a nurse, they don't line up. You think it's something else. You think it's something else. The person coming for, no, but you will only realize when someone is picking the drugs from the dispensary. Then the poor are the ones who go back home late in the evening when they stayed from morning with hunger and also charging money, abusing patients. Will it stop really? And also accessing drugs without telling they are over will stop really? Godfrey from Sorority has pointed out very many issues that are affecting the health sector, especially the public health facilities out there. Then on the X app, we do have a comment from Tembo Mika. Says, the fact that during COVID time, NSF savings did not help the servers, and so is this health scheme funds likely to be. Well, people seem to be really concerned about this health scheme, because it is it's bringing a lot of questions.
You see.
You cannot tell someone that you're paying 15,000 and that 15,000 is because you are not valuing what they are getting. Yet the definition of insurance is different, but also you've not handled the challenges that are in these hospitals as of now. But then again, the only challenge we have right now is that our time is fast spent. But you were going to say something, Cheryl, as we get to conclusion.
We wind up. One, a health insurance is something that we need. We need a national health insurance policy. But we need to first do a lot of in-house cleaning. History is not on our side. That is the bad thing.
Right.
And for anything to be successful, people must have trust in you. The problems facing our health sector, only 30% can be solved with money. The rest, mindset change, attitude towards work, fight against corruption. Then the remaining is all about money, where you need money to construct, money to pay salaries, money to buy equipment. But money will not stop. We've had so many scandals in the health sector here. Even when there's just been, who will ever forget the Global Fund saga? To mention the list is endless if you have to start.
Yes.
So, we've had bad history when there's pool of money, pension scheme, NSSF. So there's still so much we need to do than just rushing to have a pool where we get money. No doubt, our health sector is underfunded. Dr. Jane Ruth Acheng has always been clear. My budget of this, I got this. But even with the little you've gotten, has there been value for money? That is a big question. When we go and look at these health centers around the village, when we look at those that you tell us you've injected money, is there value for money? Why you're seeing such comments is because history has proven us wrong.
We've set a bad precedent.
This is worry. Yet a national health policy is very, very good. But if we don't do the sufficient groundwork, the situation is going to be very worse.
Thank you, Robert. Your parting shots, Sanko.
Well, I'll pick it up from one of the comments I've also seen on the X app, that is on the UBC poll question, where someone was saying that if it has worked in other countries, if we give it a try and adopt it, it will work for us. So to me, it's how we are going to make it happen and not put it the way the minister was quoted saying that we do not pay attention, we rather, you know, we only appreciate what we pay for. So if that is so, then how is it going to be beneficial to the Ugandans at the end of the day?
Because that is if we get the right definition for what she's trying to do, because
exactly.
Health insurance
because everybody has a different view of this particular insurance scheme now. Some people think it's now going to be the easiest way for me to step into a private hospital since I've been paying to the government, and I'll get better medical.
You see, that's what
and at times, by the way, insurance is tricky. Even medical insurance, there are certain diseases that can't be
on the card unless you pay more.
Exactly, unless you pay more. So at times, even insurance companies also give
even
you
the cost.
Very few. Exactly.
It's not because you're insured
that you will go
that
for
you go,
you know,
and you're getting
an organ transplant.
There is where your insurance covers.
Exactly.
Terms and conditions for every premium is there.
But I think if we use it, to me, if we try to adopt it the right way, it will be a good one for our health sector and an improvement for Uganda's entire health sector, really.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for for the deliverables, but also thank you for being part of the show. We have been talking about the National Health Insurance Scheme Bill, and of course, I have a number of comments that have been coming in, but unfortunately, our time is fast spent. I may not be able to read all of them, but thank you so much for being part of the show. We'll be back tomorrow still with the real, so make sure to be with us, to have the discussion with us. We always look forward to hearing from you. Let's take a very short break. When we come back, we are going to be looking at Good Morning Uganda business with Joram Paul, but also looking at the press, what is happening in the press in East African countries, that is Tanzania and Kenya, but also taking a look at how you can maneuver through this morning's traffic. We'll be right back.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Juko.
Yo.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda wange, haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Juko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. But what you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
My name is Atube Richard, a member of a group called Kanyope, located in Bungatira sub-county. This group started in 2008, but the Prel Nol project started supporting us in 2009. The project has offered us training on farming, and the training we got has helped us immensely. We used to farm in a traditional way, planting a variety of crops. But when the team from Prelnor approached us, they asked us to choose particular seeds to grow which can yield very well in our area. We chose groundnuts and rice, which we are growing. With this kind of farming, the project also taught us how to sell as a group after finding a market. The support from the project has been so good to us.
What's the best kind of business to invest in? One that connects Ugandans border to border with a high-speed broadband 4G and is the first to launch 5G? What about one of the largest corporate income taxpayers in our country? Oh, the fastest growing telecom in the last 5 years. Wow! Well, here's a chance to invest in it all. Take part in Airtel's initial public offering today for as little as 100 Ugandan shillings per share. Remember, a retail investor gets 5 incentive shares for every 100 they buy and 6 incentive shares if they purchase using Airtel Money. Dial star 185 star 85 hash now to get started.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Well, to the business community, it is that time of the hour where we get into the GMU business of the day to try to understand what is making headlines within the world of business in the country. And most of the times as well, looking at what is making headlines across the region of East Africa. I'm Jerome Paul Sonko, and as we started off with our GMU business update of the day, the Electricity Regulatory Authority is mapping out needs for electric car charging points. Because when you look at the issue to do with Uganda's electric mobility, we are looking at various trends and how the sector is developing tremendously. This is one of the reasons as to why you would see ERA, or what you could call the Electricity Regulatory Authority, says it wants to understand what the needs so that it can plan to provide the amount of electricity that will be needed by electric cars. Because if we are to move into that direction of using electric vehicles and maybe electric motorcycles as well, we then need electric charging points, or what would be just like vehicles have petrol stations or fuel stations, as you can see, so does these particular electric buses and electric cars that are being manufactured by the Kira Motors. Now, when you look at this, they've actually gathered information regarding the regulatory framework required to set up electric car charging stations around the country. Now, when you look at this, the company is actually doing and knowing its products to appreciate its electricity needs, to as well stretch its charging points across the country where various vehicles will be centered. Because if you are to buy, or if you are having a manufacturing plant for an electric vehicle, and in a generation whereby most of the car manufacturers world over are setting up different, different vehicles or different machines that can be run by electricity, then you also need a charging point. We've seen the evolution of the Teslas, for example. Different countries across the world, China, the United Kingdom, the United States, all having charging points for people who buy these particular vehicles. So that means if at all anyone wants to import a Tesla per se, or even other Toyota related vehicles that are electrically, driven or powered, then we have to make sure we have these electric charging ports or points across the country. So Kira has indicated that it intends to roll out about 18 buses for public transport by December this year. This is a very huge statement from, Uganda's electric mobility plant in Jinja. So by the look of things, as we continue to grow into e-mobility as a country, this is a starting point, and the Electricity Regulatory Authority is already setting out a framework to ensure that this will be a success for those who are highly interested in getting themselves these particular vehicles. Now, lastly, from our GMU business update of the day, something that most of the business investors would not want to hear this morning, but the United States firms under AGOA have stopped importing Ugandan products over the LGBTQ law, that is the anti-homosexuality law that was asserted to this very year. When you look at the Africa Growth Opportunity Act, that is the AGOA, several companies in the United States under this very act have stopped buying textiles from Uganda, citing the enactment of the anti-homosexuality law of or the Anti-Homosexuality Act 2023. This was revealed by President Yoweri Museveni. If you are to look back during the passing out of the Uganda prisons service officers, well, he was quoted saying that the homosexuals in the US are interfering with the export of textile, and some of the orders have been cancelled there. So that means they do not want to import from us. So that means it will be limiting the export of some of our textiles to the United States. But the president did assure Ugandans that they should not be concerned a lot because the money that the country has been squandering with the second-hand clothes and importing other people's fabrics will now turn to buying the Ugandan-made products. So that means the textile industry in Uganda will as well be appreciated even more with this time round, because now we shall be looking for a different avenue, various different markets, as well as trying to capitalize on these particular markets that we have in the country. Well, we shall wait and see how the textile industry will be picking up in Uganda and how the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda policy will be implemented on the same agenda. Okay, now as we are summing up with our GMU business of the day, we now look at the Forex market. As close of business yesterday, that was Tuesday. Now, when you look at the US dollar, it was buying at 3,715.63 while selling at 3,725.63. That was as close of business yesterday for the US dollar. But it did open at 3,715.83 while selling at 3,725.83. Now, when you look at the other side of the coin for the Great Britain pound, buying was at 4,625.95 while selling was at 4,638.40. The euro, on the other hand, 3,991.32 was if you were buying, while selling at 4,002.07. The Kenyan shilling as of close of business yesterday, buying was at 25.36 shillings, while selling at 25.43 shillings. The Tanzanian shillings was buying at 1.48 shillings, while selling at 1.49 shillings. The South African rand buying at 196.17 shillings, while selling at 196.69 shillings. Still covering or at the look of the things from the forex market. Elsewhere, let's revisit our local dailies here in Uganda, looking at the front pages in the press review, as well as looking at what is making headlines across the East African region. Starting off with the New Vision here in Uganda. The headline is, "Inside the operation that smoked Chirabo out of Nairobi hotel, how the killer doctor was nabbed in Kenya." You can get more of the details in the New Vision today as Minister blasts Bobby Wine over land. There is more of that report in the New Vision, where why police suspended mobilization tours. There are further details of that in the New Vision today, as the National Unit Platform is still in northern Uganda. Now, Binzika is set to lose multi-billion properties over loan. There is a story of that particular one with the New Vision today. And the new curriculum, the pre-test answers for Senior 3 entrepreneurship as Senior 3 Kiswahili are all in today's edition of the New Vision. Then elsewhere, moneylenders face jail over retaining national IDs. The New Vision is also having a pictorial of the Chabazinga and former Speaker to Parliament, that is Right Honorable Kadaga, with the 9th coronation anniversary for Chabazinga, as more of the details regarding the coronation are in the New Vision today. Crossing to the Daily Monitor as well, still in today's the Daily Monitor with the headline, "Police Stop Biringwa Meeting and Bobby Tours." More of the report in the Daily Monitor. Government issues new maize export guidelines. The Daily Monitor is giving you details as well, as government bans use of national IDs as loan security. That is still with the Daily Monitor. Still in the other stories, Islamic banking, what you should know. Or with Islamic banking, the Daily Monitor gives you now the best and worst government ministries revealed. The Daily Monitor gives you those ministries. In the other news as well, 11 baby-friendly hospitals accredited as Buganda Kingdom and NMG Uganda editors forge closer working ties. As President Museveni also and Salim Saleh remember fallen heroes of the Katonga battle. Now elsewhere, as we sum up with the press review, we cross the borders to Kenya. The Daily Nation today, taxation, more pain as Treasury proposes new higher taxes. That is the headline for the Daily Nation. As elsewhere, fuel shortage looms as dealers cry foul over stabilization debt. That is at the front pages of the Daily Nation. Ruto at one, focus on women and education. They give you details as to why President Ruto has failed to deliver for women and his cause in education so far. Then murder, police to hold 2 women over hairdresser's death. As in the controversy, Lokasa Yambogo yet to be buried 6 months later, as state opposes lower interest rate, extended grace period for HELB loans. Now lastly, we look at the Citizen in Tanzania. The Citizen with the headline, Chadema defends boycott move amid rising pressure. As in the National Special Report, motivation behind women opting for silicone. As in the Business Week magazine, price competition drives adoption of cleaner cabs. As international disaster, fears mount of surging death toll in Libya. Floods, Africa's Free Trade Pact is set to lift 20 million out of poverty. That is according to what the Citizen newspaper is having at its front page. Well, that's it for our press review within the region and also in the country. Now it's time for the traffic updates with Chantal Olive Akandenda.
Thank you, Jerome Paul, JP Live, for the updates. I will be starting off from the Mwanda Road junction. So if you are coming from Mwanda Road, my friend, let's see how you will be moving now onto Mwanda Road. That is if you are coming to the side of, if you're trying to connect to the side of Acacia, you are free to move all the way. I mean, as you can see, the road is clear. It's easier for you to move. When you are trying to get to town, this is a faster route that you can use because it is not crowded at the moment. I'm going through Mawanda Road still. This is Mawanda Road Police Station. This is Chitante. I've just gone past Chitante Hospital, and I am still continuing. Now, at this point, I'm now trying to. I'm almost hitting a point where there is a bit of jam still on Mawanda Road as I'm trying to get to town. There is a junction right here on Mawanda Road, and definitely this is the junction that causes a lot of jam in most cases. But if I proceed onto Mawanda Road, I am going all the way past Bible Society of Uganda. The road is clear, and this is if you know those roads very well. The junction that usually causes problems is the church-to-church road. That brings a bit of a hold up as you are trying to connect to another junction that is going to be bringing you to what we call Tafno Doctor. That is the road called Tafno Doctor now. That place usually has a bit of a hold up, or because it has a bit of jam because of that very reason. But if I take Tafno Doctor, I am trying to get to Acacia. Now I am on Kayunga Road. Traffic is not there at all until I get to what used to be wannabe roundabout, not a roundabout, not a junction, but it is somewhere in the middle there. And there is a bit of a hold up, definitely, and this is because you are trying to, people from different parts, people from Mulago are trying to connect, people from Mawanda Road are trying to connect, people from Kamocha are trying to connect, and people from Acacia Place are also trying to connect and cross through. So definitely this is going to cause some jam at this junction. There is jam, definitely, but when we try to cross through onto Kayunga Road definitely has the jam. And of course, we were coming from Chira, like I told you, there will be a bit of a hold up, and that is why you will see, that is why you'll be facing challenges when you get there. But if I still stay on the same road as I try to get to town, there is jam. And I'm crossing through right now. John Babiha Avenue. John Babiha Avenue has a bit of a jam, though it is moving until you go all the way when you're trying to get to Cooper Road. There is a junction that comes from Cooper Road, and that junction usually brings a bit of a hold up. And after that, you are headed for some good jam on that very road. So please do make sure that you brace yourself for it all the way until Kololo Hill Drive. You will be finding still a lot of jam on that very road. But if you are using the John Babiha Acacia Avenue, you are safe. John Babiha Acacia Avenue is safe, so you are able to move. That is on the other side if you are coming from town. But on the John Babiha side, when you are going to town, you are headed for a lot of jam on there. So brace yourself. If you have another route that you can use, I highly recommend that you take that other route. But all the way downwards, there is jam. I can tell you until you reach the junction that has Mabua Road and then the Windsor Crescent, there is that's where the jam stops. If you are continuing on John Babiha Acacia Avenue, you are free to move. If you are on Mabua Road, you are headed for some bit of jam. John Babiha Acacia Avenue is still safe, and it goes all the way until you find a hold up that is going to take you up to the junction. That is going to take you up to the junction here, where you will be free to move. If you are trying to stay on John Babiha Road, I would suggest that if you are able to, you stay on that. However, there is jam ahead as you are continuing trying to get to town on the John Babiha Road. And then the lower Kololo Terrace Road seems free for you to move in case you want to branch off, since continuing on John Babiha Road, Acacia Avenue has tie-ups and loose ends that you might want to avoid. If you can use the Lower Kololo Terrace Road, I would highly recommend that you use that. If you are going to Windsor Crescent, then you are safe to move. And for you who is staying on John Babiha Road, you are headed for some good amounts of jam until you make your way to town, until you reach Yusufulule Road. Now on Yusufulule Road, if you are coming to the side that has, if you're coming to the side that has the Embassy of the United Arab Emirates, the road is free for you to move. If you are going to the side, if you're going to the side that has MultiChoice Uganda and Garden City, you are headed for some bit of jam. Well, and until you go all the way, if you are trying to connect to town, there is a bit of tie-ups and a bit of movement. You will be able to move onto the Yusufulule Road, I would say smoothly. Really, I would say smoothly until you make your way to town. But for now, unfortunately, I can't go further than that to help you make your way to town. But until you reach the Tuko roundabout, you have a bit of hold-ups here and there. That is it for the traffic updates. Chirabo will be coming with Good Morning Uganda agenda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial star 165 star 3 hash or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Angelo